Welcome to our lovely future humans, our 5D collective, to those who are seeing and hearing. But for those who are hearing, I keep forgetting to mention when I am pulling ruins or cards that are ruins, what they look like, their name. So we're going to pick up from yesterday when we talked about how enlightenment is not the trap. The trap is validation. And today is the day out of time. So it's an honor to be here. And if you're new, I support people to do personal and spiritual growth with somatic mindset resources on PayHip. Obviously mentorship, but that's for another time. Right now, channeled guidance, food for thought, as every year when we have these amazing ascension energies about, we get to expand. But we is the 5D collective. And I want to support with a bunch of tools, spiritual. So the day out of time is its own energy portal. It acts as a rainbow bridge between us and the spiritual dimensions. Sounds a bit vague. I know, right? I bring in the human element, so hold on for it. And those again who are hearing me, I'm still holding up the ruins. Well, this is the ruin. This is the card. It's called Gebo or Jibo. So this day out of time gives us an opportunity to connect with and clear the past. Our past does not get cleared away. It gets processed emotionally, mentally, and used. But here it says to connect with and clear the past as well as to create a better future. So future humans we are because we protect the future. Now, we don't do it with some magical powers because our clairs aren't magical powers. Are they gifts? Well, being a human is a gift. And I'm a rational being. I'm also stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable, the acronym and framework for those of you who are ventral pivoters. So our nervous system sovereignty comes thanks to us having a mind that has been shaped by our relationships. But that means you also have a brain that is integrated. And that's why you will be able to create magic. You will be able to be a clear vessel for the spiritual ones. So enlightenment is not the trap. As I shared yesterday, we have a lot of people who are validating each other's effective realism, distortions, projections, and so I'm attachment trauma educated. Please pause yourself if you're not and join us on Substack where you can ask questions. In the meantime, this is channeled guidance, food for thought. And what I'm trying to say is I am a future human because those of us who are future, we are not only protecting it by knowing the sky is not falling chicken little, we are doing what we can, all of us, in different ways to support humanity to know that there's already intelligent sentient beings. I'm one of them. And that when people invalidate me because they don't know how to do eustress, I don't say you don't know how to do eustress. One, because they'll say it's a made-up word. Two, it doesn't matter what comes out of my mouth. If they've disregarded the signs, then they've disregarded. I will explain in a minute. So we're also going to look more at those questions that I was answering yesterday. Oh, and again, I'm showing the crown. For those of you who are hearing me, let me get to describe a little bit of these lovely cards. And they're not just paper, although some people will think of them as just paper. So the crown, source, point, attainment. The source of you comes from the mind that actually has a way of feeling itself. Dr. Daniel Siegel has explained a lot about the mind and the brain. So when your anticipation machine, your embodied brain, is integrated, that's wholeness, and therefore you own the mind, the four facets of the mind. And when you do own that, here is, let me get you again. So the day out of time, this energy portal, it doesn't revolutionize your life because transformation, the first transformational experience for anyone is going to be, depending where they come from, being able to be their self. In my case, I didn't lose myself, so my transformational experience, my first light body led me to know of my next light body expansion, and then another and another and the rainbow body, and yes, twin flame and flames, oversoul, all that, astral beings, astral travel, you name it. And so I have two galactic beings right over here, they're commanders, and I have some other galactic beings and aliens over there, and I have the ascended masters here, Buddha's right here, Jesus is here, God's watching over me, Gaia, Akash, you name it. The entire world of spiritual is with me. That's particularly because when you're in a 5D body type, you don't get confused with I accept all, reject none, and I know what the truth is. that Maria has that which is called an embodied brain, and it's a conduit, and that quantum physicists are actually looking into the whole sphere. So people will call it a lot of things. I will bring it to you however I want. And then I will also share with you the messages that come through. So again, personal growth, spiritual growth, people who are growing are the ones who do know about the truth. Oh, again, I keep forgetting. The ones who can't see me, I have a card that's round. It's called Anima Mundi. And it has a rainbow bunch of colors, a lot of symbols that are all this astrology stuff. Then it has what is a star in the middle of the face. Yeah, it's covering up the face as if we shouldn't see the face. But really, I think it's simply a star because, you know, we all are stars. Relight my fire. Okay, hold on for it because I was grabbing something else. And that's because of me wanting to share with you all. Again, the messages to the best of my ability. I have a small desk. Give me a minute. So this one I'm going to cover a little bit because of YouTube's I'm not really sure of all of its thing. But here's the vessel, your body. So we have a body. It's a nice body. And here's a lovely light. Do you know what's going to happen to our sun one day? Because I actively do know, even though some people don't believe in scientists. Okay, so when you are actually able to be connected, the thread, to your body, okay, the insula, here's where love is at. Okay, so who knows about the heart? I know. Okay, so we like self-love, and we don't get to fall for the web of lies that others instead who do not have self-love end up in. But luckily, mindful therapists are there for anybody who wants to get out of that dead end. And so when it comes to this lovely day, ascension energies allow those of us who are doing personal growth and spiritual growth to be, when you're comfortable, you can do anything, to continue embodying the self that is us. And so this crown, gebo, your mind, your thoughts, your feelings, it's clear. Okay, so you have clarity and organization because you're not afraid of your own shadow, and you don't have someone to blame or to take revenge upon, or to continue harboring resentment for, okay? And so, with some saying that clears our gifts, I say no, because you're a gift. I'm a gift. Our human makeup is a gift. But that's because humanity, when you know we are flawed, we are imperfect, we will be ignorant, and we will make mistakes, and we know how to forgive it, that's the person who's doing personal growth and spiritual growth, because, again, the gift is life. And this is from a prefrontal cortex. So emotionally mature, mentally mature people, we are intelligent, sentient beings. We are clear of mind, we are clear of heart, and we're going to continue with the channel guidance, food for thought, so everyone can ascend and everyone can expand. And I will look at some of those Reddit questions that we were discussing in yesterday's episode from Enlightenment. It is not the trap. Validation is, and it's not just any, it's the validation of people with their distortions, their effective realism, their in-group, out-group charged narratives, like the good, evil kind with the Lucifer monster kind, okay? And so if you do want, you can tune into yesterday's episode. And here, let's continue with Gibo or Jibo. So gift, exchange, harmony in relationships, marriage, partnership, unity with self and all others, equality, generosity, give and take, gratitude. People who do understand that which is no two nervous systems are alike, no two bodies are alike. Okay, so I will never have walked one day in your shoes, you will never have walked one day in my shoes. And with that, when I meet someone out in the desert, and again on this lovely day at a time, its own energy portal, it acts as a bridge between us and the spiritual dimensions. It gives us an opportunity to connect with and clear the past, as well as to create a better future. You don't clear the past, because when you're able to know that your past teaches you, it's because you're able to process the emotional charges that come up with the past. Okay, so today with the attachment trauma education, my foundation is stronger to support people that are doing personal growth. As it is stronger to say, discern, there are those who use the words, but they're faking it. They're in the desert because the bridge, that which is their insula to connect to their body, is not actually activated. They don't know how to downregulate their default mode network because they're not yet in the presence of the flexibility to be body and mind at ease. So when I pray, I still pray for all my brothers and sisters. And when people pray, I'm a mystic. So there are some stories you haven't heard, but that's why we are all gifts to each other. And when I'm in the desert and I'm saying, I want to go the other way, this is one of those experiences that I had in one of the major ascension moments. And my hand is not being let go. And I'm like, okay, hey God, so listen, I'm my own hierophant, okay, so person who is doing personal growth, spiritual growth, you're not destabilized. Your tower moments are never the way that and I say never as a 46-year-old woman who's telling you based on my subjective experience, just so we're clear. So that's why I need to pause. Oh, and again, sorry, the ones who are hearing me, I'm trying to remember that you can't see. So I'm showing another round card, the desert, and it is the number 37, which is important. That's 10. So when someone's ready to move into more, if they do it with the crown of a divine empowered masculine and the body of a divine empowered feminine, so a somatic mindset, resourceful human being, it means you know your window of tolerance. You know what your activated state feels like, and you know that we are always going to be energy and motion. So when Dr. Daniel Siegel described what eustress is, it's basically I get to have a presentation. I'm going to be in eustress. Why? Because I live a restorative embodiment life. People who think that we don't exist are invalidating the existence of those of us who know how to use what is our human makeup, might I add. Okay, so allow yourself to remember when someone's invalidating your capacity to self-regulate because they don't know how to. Bessel van der Kolk explains they won't know when you speak it to them. Because someone asks them, how does someone know if they're dysregulated or not? They won't. So the one thing I can tell you is praying is something that brings all of us together in different moments of time. And it's called choice points. That's why free will. Okay, so some of our lovely scientists out there, lovely Robert Sapolsky, I got his book, I haven't read it yet. He believes we've been determined. I understand what he's going to be talking about because I have a good foundation of attachment trauma and neuroscience and neurobiology. So I'm open and curious, in fact, to read what he has to say. Now, let me get back to us though. A day like this, your past comes forth where you get to, in the ease of your body, acknowledge all of that which has come that has gotten you to grow, because personal growth as well as spiritual growth means you're mastering and maturing your behavior. So sensations are yours, images are yours, CBAM, behaviors are yours, affects are yours, meanings are yours. This is not hard. It is not a struggle. When people still struggle with their personality patterns and their temperament, then that tells me their dysregulated state is still using 1D stress, which then tells me they're not yet comfortable using eustress, which is actually something I understand because Deb Dana explains how it works when people in 5 seconds in a therapy seat are in ventral and say something bad's going to happen. And then when Dr. Daniel Fox informs me of how neutrality works for someone with BPD or NPD, which is you're not neutral, you're lying, let me test this shit, and how split thinking works. And then Kylie explains to me how split thinking actually works. And I will share with you some stories. So the fates, the destiny, yes, I'm a person who knows how free will works. And that's from this 5D mystic spiritual one who talks to God all the time. So when you do notice the ones who are in oneness, when we say this and that, and we're flipping and flopping, it's because we can take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different aspects, bring it in, not be overwhelmed by it, because in my mind, the 4 facets of it are mine. That's because I own myself, and that involves my first 3 years of life, and it also involves my human secondary consciousness, which means the unknown. It's always going to be something that pokes at you. I have fun with it. I'm not wearing a mask because I don't pretend. And that's the part of why you'll know what your story is. I know what my story is, and I'm sharing that luck and right timing. As Louis Pasteur presents, a prepared mind. That's where it's at. Chance favors the prepared mind. And so when you are a mind that is prepared because you own yourself, you will take that possibility for union of anything that that lights you up, okay? But the external is not what fulfills the internal. Sense of self, sense of purpose. So I see a lot of people on the different Reddit groups, which is why I want to bring in some of those questions that I answered. And so let me pause. And I forgot to mention to those of you who are hearing me, give me a minute. Be patient, YouTubers. So Rest and Renewal, Garden of Venus, is a beautiful garden. It's in the middle of some forest somewhere with a lot of purple and a lot of pink. So we got our crown and our third eye, which is actively something you use when you are your own Hierophant, which is why no matter what nudges at you, God never punishes anyone. That's how I'm bringing to you, because I didn't get tested by anyone. There's no monster. There's simply human beings that I've gotten to see. And when I know today how to explain to you what suffering is, it's people who don't own their nervous system. But it's not only about you ventral pivoting. It's also about your sense of self being whole with all of those child parts, not being afraid. So you're your own safe haven, secure base. It's not only that. I'm not done yet. The list continues, because the existential query of any human being out there will go so far as to read a book written by Sabine. She's a quantum physicist, I believe, or some type of physicist. But long story short, she answers with physics all our existential questions. And someone or more wrote her, and they were very sad. She, in fact, had to write in her book, look, some people write me saying that now they don't sleep at night. And I was like, who's the people? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, forgot. Expert yogis are familiar with darkness. I'm going to give you another example of when you see people who are afraid of this darkness thing with the unknown, and I'm going to explain it to you also from the sciences of how the brain works. But I'm trying to help you to understand. I don't have afraid of. It's like, okay, so the flow state, when neuroscientists explain it to you, they say that the flow state means your brain is pushing you to the edge of criticality and dealing with chaos. And I'm like, there's no chaos, but I'm also literal, but I'm in a body that isn't afraid of chaos, because when I think of the word, I think of a little girl who is being offered a juice box, who's physically being in bombed area, and that's chaos. You see what I'm saying? So for Maria, when I hear the word, I'm not like I'm in chaos because of 3 twin flames. That's not chaos. That actively is simply, how rejection works, but it's not protection. And is it really rejection if someone doesn't know how to love? So you can't actually be rejected if a person doesn't know how to engage. You see how literal I am? Okay, so that's why I'm trying to let you know how my brain works, so you can understand when I'm using words. Then with detachment drama education, I'm balancing 2 sides of brain and knowing that not all of us think the same. And we also all don't feel the same. So when someone says life has to have brought you suffering because you cried, I'll be like, no, I'll explain it to you because emotions last 60 seconds. Then they'll think that that means I'm in the absence of emotions. And I'm like, no, I'm mature with my emotions and I discern effective realism. And so I'm trying to, there's new people that might be here. Balancing act, it's a lovely little ballerina. It's a leaf that looks like a butterfly that has a ballerina foot. Okay. And so with that, when you're balancing 2 sides, like I'm showing you, there are choices and the consequences. The feast of plenty. This is nice. We got a crystal ball. Oh, again, those who are seeing me, crystal ball. This makes me think of, it's the crown of the people, like what, the gods or whatever, or the god of food. He is in actually one of those Christmas carols. Was it that one with Jim Carrey and Laurel? I want to say Laurel. And we got 2 swords. So we got 2 swords of truth. We got a bee. The sweet results await. We got crystals, and we got 2. Okay, so when you are in a day like today, you're like, wow, I've been through a bunch of amazing stuff, and it's not shit. But when you think of anger, sadness, fear, surprise, happiness, disgust, chaos, you don't think rigidity, all these are words that you're contemplating, and then you look out there in the world, and this is, yes, there are some dysregulated human beings. They're not part of the 5D collective. The power of our community is that we do, though, know how to be a person, man, woman of grace, and that's because physiological state of compassion means you know how to regulate yourself. And that's why you know the difference between eustress, which means, yes, whenever I'm going to do something like a presentation or whatever it is, I will get nervous. I've had plenty of panic attacks. I don't like it. But you better bet that now that I know how to simply harness all of it with a word and more, my left is very at ease with knowing what the right is looking. And then you just sit and you understand how we don't need someone to tell us about our fate or our destiny. We create it. Free will. So you have the authentic self, no mask, but we all do have that which are subjective realities. And so remembering that is important, because luck and right timing and the possibility for union. So here we have a wheel of fortune. Oh, those who, again, can't see me. And here we have 2 towers. Oh, look, I get to practice my words with a moon. What is this? What is this, people? What? It's a crystal ball. Then we got some more rocks in the air. Kind of looks like one of those other planets somewhere. A sky bridge. Okay. So we have possibility for union. It's a sky bridge. We have fortune's wheel, luck and right timing. And that is a wheel with the wings of an eagle. Eagle. It actually makes me think of one of those rock and roll bands. Anybody like rock and roll? I love rock and roll. And here it has a shiny little star. No, it looks like the sun behind it. Again, YouTubers, you need to be patient with me. This is how I'm gonna work with you on patience. Oh, so anyways, the many masks we have. I don't do that one show. What is it called? With the people from the medieval times. Everybody like is all over it. I was like, I watched some and I couldn't. I was like, I don't need this shit. I already walk out there and see all these people suffering. I don't need to be watching. This is not entertaining. So when someone wants to feel intense emotions in a way of it being a downer and being something that creates that which no one needs, because when you meet people who are, hold on a minute. So this, those who are hearing me, I'm showing this person. They have a face, and then we have masks around them, and the number is 38. So 11, no, 12, 8, 9, 10, 11, no, 11. I was right the first time. So 11, and here we go, ascension, symbols, numerology, right? Okay, I know all about it, but what's most important, 49 equals 13, 4, the fates. So when you're in the sky and in the stars, who writes your destiny? You do, okay? And when people don't have the self with wholeness, and so they're not the one, when they meet even just one twin flame, they eventually lead themselves to think that their group is a special group. While when you have 3 twin flames, you know that there's the one, and then there's the ones, and then there's no ones, and you're like, oh wow, hold on, they led me right where I was at the beginning of this journey to my own heart. And so with your own self-love, you move into the future and look to the past and know about choice points, and then you know about the cave of Plato. And that means people who want to give themselves a story that allows them to feel special. There's your spiritual bypassers, your somatic bypassers, because they're not staying rational and teachable, and then understanding that with the spiritual component, all of it, I love all of the subject matters, all of the tools. I'm not minimizing them. But one day we are going to want to be able to get off the planet. And what I've noticed is that the spiritual bypassing community and somatic continue to do what masculines do best. Stay focused and entertained and interested in that which is something small, but then they're also charged, which means that they're putting up these fists that don't have them protecting anything. They simply have savior complexes, and they're codependent still. So they're not going to be much of that which is an elk and a wolf, and that's because they don't know how to lead, and they don't know how to be a pack animal, and they don't know how to transform when the bat comes around and to become a swan. And that means to allow themselves to know that we don't have a good and evil team. You know how they went ahead to make... Who watched The Karate Kid when you were a kid? I'm 46. I'm sorry. I don't know how old you are. So I find it hilarious and interesting that they would create a sequel and then make good and bad and switch it up. But then again, I remind myself to be adaptable and flexible with that, because that's what happens when you have the gift of foresight. And that simply means that you know how to use a prefrontal and stay stable and know, yes, we all have likes and dislikes. We all, when comfortable, can do anything. What is your window of tolerance? How is it when you're stressed, and how is it when you're not? And when you're stressed, do you know how to handle yourself? Personal growth means you want to grow yourself. So you are maturing your behavior, and stress at some point, shape, or form will no longer trigger you. So when someone thinks that we're not capable of being in eustress, and I'm talking about different experts out there who are very clearly still dysregulated with distress, because they think that we have to be activated in a way that involves this, okay? And so I'm going to stop with the attachment trauma, and I'm simply trying to present to you where, when it's easy to wield your insula, your prefrontal cortex, because physiologically speaking, you're in a state of compassion, which is AKA the restorative embodiment, self-aware life. And you can read a book. It's called Restorative Embodiment and Resilience by Alan Fogel. You can also read a book by Deb Dana, Anchored. That one will help you get even more familiar with your nervous system. And then Dr. Daniel Siegel, he has many books, but Mind is the one that I will share. And I suggested that in one of the Reddit groups, that there's a person who's unmotivated. So let me pause again. And we are our own Hierophant. Okay, so loyalty, kindness, and guidance. When you are that which is the restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating person, you understand how your crown works, and no one is a king or a queen of anyone. The ones who instead, with their rigidity or with their chaos, which means they're all over the place, they don't know healthy boundaries because they don't know how to have discipline, concentration, or determination, because they don't wield their thoughts, their mind, or their communicative efforts, because they're not self-sufficient within their emotional plane yet. And that is a sad news, because I'm not afraid of somatic countertransference. I know how to differentiate and self-regulate. And when I hear someone who's in the field of needing to support people, and they're talking about somatic countertransference as if it's dangerous, I'm like, okay, you don't have the balance yet. So you might want to check out Deb Dana and go train with her, so that you can become the person that those who come to you, you can be. I'm a personal growth content creator, podcast host, mentor, and spiritual growth. And I like to be clear that I don't use words always right, but what I've become aware of is self-help. People who are looking to it, when they struggle in a way of it being obvious to me, they don't know how to wield their nervous system. That's not self-help, that's failed you. No book is going to give you the sense of purpose, and no book is going to give you the capacity to wield your self-regulation skills, because if you didn't get to autonomously do it, that's the moment of truth where passion, enthusiasm, and creation have yet to have made their way to you. Once they do, it's because you will be yourself, and that is where you will not be in a desert. You will have taken a bridge that was offered to you. That's a choice point. When you prayed, and people who think they're not ever praying, I get it. We have scientists out there, the ones who don't. Again, I am of spirit, so I smile and laugh because I'm a person of faith. But of course, I want to get down on the floor and say, let's just pretend no faith, no spirit, none of that. I know about lovely Dr. Daniel Siegel, and he is an intelligent, sentient being, and he lives the physiological state of compassion. And so when the Dalai Lama looks him in the eye at a compassion conference saying religion failed, I know why, as a person who was raised by religion and who is spiritual and who's rejected today, because apparently if you let all of it in, it's bad JoJo. And apparently because God doesn't need science, it's okay to continue talking about our brothers and sisters like demons. Wow, yet God is perfect, and the human being in flesh who's speaking from their mouth is not. I wonder. Yes, distortion, affective realism, cognitive dissonance, structural dissociation. Those who do the conspiracy thing, no, it's really the person who looked me in the eye and said, there, I'm so sorry you rejected Maria. I remember when I got looked at weird because I talked about the demonic possession I saw. And so I know what you're going through, and I was not thinking anything of, oh my God, I'm so sad. It was more of, wow, you buy into bullshit. You're a hypocrite. You use science all the time when you go get your teeth cleaned, when you go get operated to your knees, when you go take a pill for your fever, when you're doing a lot of shit, you're using science. I mean, let me not speak the truth to your face so that I can disengage from this very, very unnecessary. So the right silence is because I don't want to go telling someone what they need to believe in, because the minute you actually don't hear what words come out of your mouth, the way this person did, and don't remind yourself God's perfect, not anyone in flesh, and science proves all of humans are not demons. Wait a minute. Didn't Jesus point out that the kingdom of God is within everyone? So who's being the liar and the inconsistent one? The ones who prove, tangibly speaking, there's no demon and we have an embodied brain, or the ones who want to keep using the word evil, demons, and creating this fictitious story of good and bad in the way that they're doing? Know your worth. I know my worth, and no one since I was a kid, learn from your past, can manipulate me, because I'll be aware. Like someone will be aware of me. And what are we aware of? Our nervous systems. Okay, so you claim your independence. Oh, by the way, those who are hearing, check out YouTube, because I'm showing more cards. I keep forgetting to tell you that. Here we have a beautiful kitty, and it's a redhead. I love the redhead. Look at that. Third eye open. We got, it can hear clearly. I bet you it hears ringing wedding bells. So anyways, no, not really. It's more of a spiritual calling. Shamans, mystics, welcome aboard. Those of you who are teachable, like the hollow bone, we continue to hear our ancestors. We respect them. They respect us. We bring into the future new stories, and they continue with us. And those who don't like the new stories, well, they like to be stingy. That's because they don't really want everyone. No, it's not true. Let's leave it alone. Let me explain. So again, the past comes with you. The future is better because you've learned from the past. And that's why you're your own Hierophant. And so with ventral vagal state, in your flow state, you're being yourself the smart way: stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. Check out PayHip. There's a free ventral pivot, a 10-minute thing that you can then bring forth at the night later on, and there's a new one that's going to come about. And so hold on. Earth manifestation, being here and now. So when you hear the here and now, you actively can discern when you get activated. Okay, so you know your arousal state, which is why you know that your basic needs are going to be met. And wait for it. Just give me 1 minute to organize cards so I don't lose things. That way I can read to you what I shared to a person who, in a group, they mentioned, I have everything, and now I have become lazy and unmotivated to do anything. What can I do? Why is this happening? This is a 27-year-old male. There was another one that was very similar to this one, 31-year-old male. I'm 46, and believe me, there's people that are older and younger, and the answer would be the same. So I'll read. That way I can pause the storytelling for a minute and the cards, the lovely tarot and messages. And then I'll also integrate some of my spiritual awakening stuff. Enlightenment again, not a trap. You'll know when you move into it. Did I forget to mention the Sadhguru story? About fear and the unknown? Because this is a second recording, so I'll just share it before I read this actually. Okay, so when he talks about expert yogis, he says they're familiar with darkness. When I bring to you the human elements, I'm trying to say we all know how to navigate our brain, the left and the right. Oh, a good book for you if you want. The Left Brain Speaks, The Right Brain Laughs. It's by Ransom Stevens, PhD. He's a neuroscientist, and he's just as funny as Neil deGrasse in a way of helping us understand that complex stuff. Okay, so with that being said, Dr. Daniel Siegel, as he talks about his Wheel of Awareness, a very good tool for those who are integrated. He has it for free for you to check out on his website, one of the many. When moving the spoke around, he says, what does uncertainty mean and what comes up because of it? Okay, so when you're in maximum uncertainty, because you can sit with yourself, I can do it a lot, that's when you own your mind. And you don't think of it as your enemy because you understand that it has its own felt sense of self. Dr. Daniel Siegel explains it, so that's why I went to Diane. I went my left, the control part, and the right. I'm not my own indulgent parent. I'm Maria. We're doing the diet because, as Hippocrates pointed out, any wise man, and he met wise woman, wise man, wise day. will know health is number one. So when you self-regulate, you do understand why everything else, the diet, the working out for real, like going to the gym or at home with weights, that works. When on the other hand, it's a fake in it, yeah, I'm going to leave that alone for now. So we have the elk, and then we're going to look at the wolf, and then I won't forget, don't worry, those who are still waiting for me, I'll get to the answer in a minute. So the elk is about stable, resilient, headstrong, the father. When it's balanced, headstrong does not mean rigid, stubborn. It means supportive, kind, consistent. Okay, so that's why words aren't as important to me, I also fuck them up, as it is to describe to you when you get, I don't want to do the diet. Mine is soft because, again, I have the inner growth mindset that you use from the practices on PayHip. But that I also have brought to you on the blog for free. There's plenty of them. And we have our main modules on the 3 inner growth mindset programs. There's 3 levels. The main modules are for free on inspiringhumanpotential.com, the website. So the elk, when not in balance, judgmental, dominating. And those are the spiritual bypassing community who think that they can cast stones on everyone. And they continue to talk about fake stories at this point. Hippocrates told at the time his own colleagues, when we find out what the wrath of the god, no, what epilepsy is, you'll stop calling it the wrath of the gods. Today we know what decentralizing the self and religious experiences are, thanks to neuroscientist Patrick McNamara. We know, thanks to a lovely human being and more, how psychopathy works and the embodied brain and the chemistry. So those who are ignorant of these topics, and then they look at me and think that I'm faking it or I'm some whack job, I'm not. I'm epistemically curious, disciplined, and I love to learn about being a human because I support people on personal growth and spiritual growth. So of course I'm going to keep learning about the subject matter that I am offering, not only digital products, but my mentorship services. Substack is growing a community. We're going to get together at some point. I don't know when, but it'll be fun. And it's not going to be with the spiritual bypassers. It's going to be with spiritual, enlightened mystics and mindful people who can make fun of us because we're okay with it. We know how to be grounded in reality. All of our cherishable beliefs could be fake. Meantime, I know choice points. I won't say what I know. There's 2 galactic beings right over there, commander in chief. Yes, what do you need? Okay, I'm not doing that right now. But the wolf, guardian of family, everything's going to be okay. He's insisting. And I'm going to pause that, though. Come on. Even though a lot of shit is still happening, give it 3 to 5 years. We'll start seeing the light. And that means we'll start seeing the lovely, intelligent, sentient beings who are bringing forth changes as we speak do so. So, patience is a virtue. Practice your ventral vagal state. You'll learn how to breathe. And obviously, secure connections are important. We're social beings. No one, and I mean no one, is meant to be isolated and alone. And those who think that the lone wolf is something to look up to and be. So, the wolf. Guardian of family and tribe, activism, ritual. Balanced, reliable, democratic, fearless. In not balanced, judgmental, dominating. And let me go double check the elk. Okay, so excuse me, before if I said the elk was judgmental, the elk out of balance is pretentious and high and mighty. But you might as well put them all together because there's your ego of a person who's using half a brain alone, and there's another book, The Mission and the Emissary, of another science brain person who talks about it, but he talks about this in a different way. I haven't read it yet. So when you understand how the left becomes rigid while the right becomes chaotic, this is how I'm bringing it to you. It's not a 1, 2, 3 science. It's a destabilized human being who will, with their own activated state, say, I want to live with Israel, that feels right. And you think you're a cynic, frequency, wow, look at that. All frequencies attract each other. I'm a love frequency, so I can only attract. All you need is love and healthy fear. All you need is love and healthy fear, and that's why sweet results are awaiting. And there is nothing you can do that can't be done. There are some things that you won't be able to do. I cannot make you choose yourself and be compassionate. I cannot make you know how to self-regulate. And actually, there's another card for us. Let me get it for us. The bat. And then we'll keep on moving forward with our messages and the readings that I want to read to you. So when I see the collective who are giving guidance in a way of saying take what resonates and what doesn't, I know what they're saying, but I'm here to say if people are going to tarot with unsettled feelings, with life, work, relationships, I get it, but if it continues, then we're not talking about you actually having that which is your life in the nervous system altogether, you know what I mean? So when you're insecure and destabilized by one relationship, we all have core wounds: rejection, abandonment, injustice, betrayal, humiliation. But when you're a whole self, and so you know how to pivot to your ventral vagal state, and that's why you're stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable, you don't lose yourself when rejection happens. I was 4, you transform yourself. Okay, so when people are strong, it's because they moved from being strong to getting curious. And the confidence in your own magic is why we're not gifted, clears our human capacity. And to be able to transform as the lovely bat, where are you, bat? Here we go. Transform, darkness, letting go, death, leading to rebirth, accepts, adapts, adjusts, in balance. Out of balance, refuses to let go, reminisces. Okay, so when people don't do the transformation, because self, and so decentralizing in the self, when it comes to religious experiences, the bypassers continue to talk about human beings as good or bad when they have any kind of experience. If I had done any of bypassing today, I would be one of those who says, I'm going through my spiritual awakening, so I'm losing people. You know, we kind of lose, we have to lose people when we move into expansion, ascension. Not everybody has to come with us. Some people actively thought that we would be invisible to people because of our frequency. And I have a human explanation for why you'll be invisible to people. You want to hear the story? I haven't told that one in a while. Yeah, this is my poopy friend. Remember, I've talked about my poopy friend. I have a lot of friends out there. Just the other day, I found my poopy friend. He doesn't seem, I don't know, something's up with my poopy friend. But then again, the ascension energies tend to do that. But you know what's nice? He's got people who has his back. That's a really good thing because he doesn't know how to have his own back. So as I was seeing someone have his back, I was like, well, that's good because he really needs it right now. He's not looking too good. And someone was like, but he's always this drunk. I was like, nope. Today he's like excessively drunk for some reason, which I don't know what. But so once you're able to move through the darkness as the bat, so you're the elk, the wolf, the darkness of the bat. Well, the bat with the wings, Batman, na Batman. Okay, you move into the effortless creativity that the swan brings, sensitive, mystic, elegant power. Infinite creative power when in balance, when out of balance, agitated, snippy, lacking vision. So sensitive, when you wield your own regulation, nervous system, temperament, sensitive, intense. You're able to, I'm both sensitive, intense, and you empower yourself, which is why when people don't like the attachment trauma education, my thing is, okay, so you don't want to empower, you want to validate. That's why enlightenment is not the trap. Validating one's charges is a trap, but is it a trap when so many people think that being equanimous and being discerning, which is, by the way, God's frequency, he's also loving. If you want to learn about me, the book, The Ways to God, I'm the co-author of the book. And there's 14 pages, not a lot about me, but basically, you'll find out about my good Christian Catholic catechist upbringing. You'll find out that because I'm a self-agent, I didn't get broken. Nobody has traumatized me to the point of where I think of life as hard or as shit or as some demon being out there. We all have trauma charges. I have trauma charges. I deal with them whenever they come up. The panic attacks were part of that. I actually understand how implicit memory works. And the part that you'll know about how the sense of purpose works is, I'm Maria. What's your name? Great. Awesome. So when someone says you can't be real, they're invalidating the human capacity to self-regulate autonomously, to be a whole self, and they're trying to put tragedy stories on a pedestal. And I'm like, not all human beings who are spiritual or mystical or of faith go through that shit. In fact, actually, we learn how not to play the know-it-alls because God taught me. Pausing, waiting, the inner teacher. Transformation. A student of life, humble and wise when in balance. Out of balance, know-it-all, egocentric. So the person who understands how to be enlightened, it's because you are a person that is of common sense, is the word that I'm going to bring to you. And I'll bring in lovely Terreal, as he points out, it's a person who knows how to be a functional adult. So no one is going to be happy doing a life alone. Those who suffer life and have an unsteady self-image tend to get with their groupies and have fun as they continue doing Chicken Little, the sky and falling. So crocodile, resting, submerging, collecting energy, cooling off. Wise, patient, a silent powerhouse. That is what happens when you're a restorative embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating person. You own your sovereign blueprint. You're a real regulated leader. And so with that access to yourself, you are a guide and a leader, and you don't actually do what those who are hypocrites do. The inconsistency, the in and out behavior, that which is called a person who was rejected, who was abandoned, who was treated unjustly, who was humiliated, and who was betrayed in so many different ways, and who is still bleeding with the core wounds and the trauma charges and all their child parts, and want to come and look at me and say, I'm not real, I'm very real, and I'm simply using what is called the prefrontal cortex and my human makeup. So with all the rationality in the world, as I told the teenage boyfriend when he looks me in the eyes and says, you only have faith in God because you're afraid of death. And when the crocodile is out of balance, it feels stuck and lashes out. And all of the things that it talks to you about bringing in balance won't bring it into balance. If you don't know autonomous self-regulation, then you won't know how to bring yourself to that which is the rest and rejuvenate of your embodied brain. That's what you can learn. It is a skill to love. It is a skill to be able and be at ease. Love is when two people want each other to be happy, and that means I don't come in and out of your life because I'm not playing a game. The ones who play game that they don't even know they're playing, as Patrick Jahan, a great childhood trauma survivor, I say healing therapist, says, they're the most dangerous ones. So yes, when people continue to ignore the signs of how they suffer life, they have the unsteady self-image. There's a really good video by Patrick Jahan on that. So let him who would move the world first move himself. Thank you, Socrates. And as Aristotle points out, he thought of a friend like someone that you will consider your second self and someone whose pain you will feel like your own. He didn't know about how we work. Somatic empaths, we all are. And so the ones who are afraid of somatic countertransference and who tell you emotions are contagious, no. It means you don't know how to differentiate and then link. So you don't know how to use your own nervous system to the point of where you're mapping it out, ventral pivoting with yourself, and then doing it again and again and again. And that's why thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel, for the suggestion. It worked when he told it to me. I didn't tell him all of my mystic stories. All my twin flames, all the astral travels, all the different dimensions I've been to, all the downloads that I get as an Akashic record reader, all of the people of my oversoul who I get to perceive. And that's why the whole consciousness sphere, for all we know, is a big trash can of all of our thoughts, which is fine with me. And it's not all trash. No, actively, there's a lot of amazing stuff. But what does our mind and our brain do? What do you know about the brain and the mind? Did I mention the brain is an anticipation machine? So it's going to want to keep you safe. Did I mention the mind has the 4 facets that Dr. Daniel Siegel talks about, but you won't own it if you don't own the 2 sides of your brain. So if anyone is following, which I know my regulars are, but if you're not following Substack, go ask questions. I'll be happy to do an episode just for that, whatever part. Hey, could you expand on this? So I'm going to go back to the Reddit question. I have everything, and now I've become lazy and unmotivated to do anything. What can I do? And why is this happening? So I changed and integrated some of those questions that were of a number of groups, okay, just so you understand. And what I want to also add is that there were other comments, so I saw what was given and I said, okay, so this is all good. These are all tidbits that will help. I started with what I understood is present. So I said with your basic needs met, because that was something mentioned, good sleep. Oh, I think one of the groups was a mentor group, so they were actively asking mentors, and I'm so happy I found it, so that way I can contribute if they had any guidance. So I said, with your basic needs met, good sleep, nutrition, healthy body, work-life balance, secure, loving relationships. If you don't have secure, loving relationships, it's not all your basic needs met. We're relational beings. Okay, so when someone says, I'm fine all alone, no one's fine all alone. It means you're protective, and that means you don't know how to have safety with relationships. So when people struggle with their relationships, I know I have what Terry Real calls an adaptive child part, which is why when I see spiritual bypassers and somatic bypassers, they're always the same. Their group is special, they're all amazing, and everybody else who does it differently or whatever. So it's, let me think. Yeah, the teenager, I'm going to call it the teenager attitude is obvious, even though as a teenager I tried not to do it, but we had cliques, we had different groups, so that's why in the years they will say, you will have to have changed, Maria, and I will say, I matured, but okay, you use whatever word you want, as it doesn't resonate with me, because I've been myself my entire life, and I've matured. I've matured my emotions, I've matured my thinking, I've done what grown-ups taught me, and now I do it my way. I did it my way, and now so we all basically are the same, but we're all different. No two nervous systems are the same, but we all can ventral pivot. No two bodies are the same, or minds, or spiritual lives, or personal lives, but we can resonate and relate to each other. And we can also say, wow, I don't know anything about this. Could you explain it to me again, flat earther? Like, seriously, because I know you might think I'm teasing you, but I really am not. I'm still fascinated to how you can believe that. And I want to understand the math behind your logic, because no one is a stupid human, and no one is a mean human. We're all children, so we all actually have a way with our brains. So my anticipation machine stayed in the whole, they talk to each other. My personality patterns and recognizing others is clear once I've seen 5 hands, and then I've realized that I'm so literal that that's why I can't pick up on any of that social inference. It's like person A and B, male, female, walked out of the room. No, they're not fucking. No, they're not kissing. You know what? You don't know what's going on. You just saw 2 people walked out of the room. There's no proof. No proof. Until proof, not guilty. You know what I mean? So, no, I'm not dumb. Actually, I don't like to do the inference, because a lot of people, what happens when a person who didn't get a good upbringing sees neutrality, Dr. Daniel Fox? The ones who aren't seeing me, I'm doing faces. That's how I entertain the ones who stick around. What was it, Dr. Daniel Fox? They test neutrality? I got a sword behind my back? Are you kidding me? They don't know how to handle when it's always good. You know what? Actually, I heard that from Deb Dana. 5 seconds in ventral, and they're freaking out. Something's going to go wrong. It's a sad story. They have a solution. What was it, Dr. Daniel Fox? They can come to you. Okay, so everyone who today wants to get their mental health on board and get sane inside, and I mean sane because you'll feel sane and whole and you'll be good. And this is, again, with all due respect, the ones who say it's hard, no one's saying it's easy, but what I've noticed is there's a bunch of them, they don't even go. There's a bunch of spiritual bypassers, they on, off. And when they have blackouts, they say that it's a time jump. I'll never forget when I saw this one person, they're a tarot reader, amazing. Actually, as she's describing 2, if not 3 or 4 more incidences, I said, dissociative identity disorder. Pretty sure we're dealing with this because of the way she described how someone was like, I know you, and she's like, I don't know you, and how I learned from my courses what this was. So once you're attachment trauma educated, if you're serious about mentorship, you will know what you just saw, which is why I said, hey, to all the therapists that taught me, I'm a mystic, spiritual, and do personal growth. So I'm not you. I'm learning this so I can keep supporting people. But what do I do when I meet someone who does this? And then I've told some stories when I've gotten to get together with the therapist in sessions where we were doing practices. And well, you did what you could, Maria. You can't do anything else. We have plenty. I was like, but is there anything? Nope. Okay, so when someone has split thinking, thank you, Kylie. She doesn't watch my content, but I thank her. She's a healed, in remission, borderline personality, and she is healing as a narcissist. And she gets hate mail, and so does her sociopath boyfriend, which is very, very unfortunate. So I have her back. If she ever needs a friend, she has explained how she is cool with her circle of friends. I get it. So when someone has that upbringing in a way that they don't feel comfortable, that's why she has her close knit, which is why Dr. Daniel Siegel in my course, DID and Disorganized Attachment, says, even if, and all of them, but I forget if it was that one or another one, but when you can be a safe haven secure base for one person, it was the DID one, that will be the way that they can feel at ease, they can feel loved, and they'll stay connected. And you might be the only secure connection they will ever have in their entire lifetime where they feel safe to be themselves. And so here's where, remember the story, no one's their monster. So for example, that alone, I'm so happy that I was able to provide and support a human being, look them in the eyes, cry with them, and say, you're not. You're a monster, you've tamed, you're doing great, you've found healthy ways, you have support system, you keep rocking and rolling, and if you fall down again, we'll all pick you up, and you're going to keep moving forward, because that's how winning is done. Thank you, Sylvester, but it isn't because of life not being rainbows or sunshines, or because of it's not how hard you hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. That's a figure of speech, and for some, they will have gone through that. If they want to triumph, they will one day look to the past and say, all that pain was actual, I was not given the good end of the stick. Humanly speaking, rejection, abandonment, humiliation, betrayal, injustice. I will know of every person who has a monster, quote unquote, inside of them, that they will have had some shit go down, and so I'm not going to call it a monster from there, because it's an inconsistency, one, with God's perfection, but two, it's called dehumanizing and demonizing human beings who are human. And so anybody who has still a chip on their shoulder, because that means they have a charge somewhere that they haven't processed, their core wounds are bleeding still, they can disengage from the content at IHP. I'm inspiring human potential. You motivate yourself, not me, because I can't motivate your nervous system to pivot to ventral. And when someone looks you in the eyes and says you can't always be on, you think, why are you in the profession? Because as a person who's a somatic empath, you're going to continuously be taking a hit with all of the dysregulated nervous systems around, since we're one herd. Anyone? So when someone says to you the twin flame journey is what gets us to be out of the matrix, no. What happened is that lovely attachment trauma educators are enlightening us, and they're healing those who want to get regulated. So when someone wants to take, what is it called? Credit. Spiritual bypassers wanting to take credit for a frequency that is explainable by the very good attachment trauma educators that I've gotten, that I'm sharing with you, and they're thinking that this is a lie. I'm like, no, shame is showing me how you're still ashamed of being a human, which tells me that you haven't made peace with your faith being broken in humanity, and not the other way around. Because again, as Jesus points out, forgive for they don't know. Blessed are those who believe without seeing. The kingdom of God is within everyone. As Sadhguru points out, the seed of his enlightenment is in everyone. So when I see the spiritual bypassing community, thank you, Dalai Lama, for pointing out to lovely Dr. Daniel Siegel that religion failed, because I'm going to say every time religion or spirituality fails, it's because they will have failed, number one, themselves, not me. And number two, when they call me a liar, my conscience is clear, because I'm not looking at anyone in the eyes and saying I got some monster in front of me. I got the evil scale from Michael Stone, forensic criminologist. They all need therapy. And the ones who are charming and grandiose, they're not buffooning me, because I'm like, oh, there's one. Oh, they're all there. Hey, God. So listen, they're all there. I can't do anything. I surrounded them with therapists. God, am I allowed? I'm not playing with free will. I'm letting them have it. But can I surround? I have them. So 2 hands, 2 feet. when the spiritual bypassing community wants to say that they've dismantled the matrix and continue to use stories. I know who they are supporting. Hey, Peter Pan, Wendy, Lost Boys, have fun on Pinocchio's Island as you continue to do what you do best, which I completely will disengage from talking about right now. So we discern our effective realism. We discern our activated states. We discern that it's okay to be upset and all that. And then we discern that the choices are, once you move past strength, courage, you move to curiosity in your open-ended inquiry. If you're not capable of that, that will mean to me that then the self is not whole yet, it's still destabilized. That means if you're mystic and spiritual, you will fall for certain things, and that mindfulness is actually a risk. So you want to go and first get bilaterally vertically overall integrated, become a ventral pivoter. Once you've got that down, now with what I call a 5D body type, aka restorative embodiment, you're going to be fine with whatever channel download. You're not going to get overwhelmed. You're not going to get confused. Twin flames won't mean the end of the world. It will mean simply that, and again, actually, let me pause myself, because if there's one thing that was the worst from the experience of awakening spiritually, we read that yesterday, I read that, it was thinking that all spiritual ones would be kind, loving, and enlightening. So the panic attacks, they were actually really irritating, because it really hits you when you think you're physically dying. And teenage boyfriend, if I was mentioning that part, when he looks me in the eyes and says that I only have faith because I'm afraid of death, and I'm like, no, I feel it in my bones, that's called me presented with someone who's effective realism. Their very strong emotions, their thoughts, and their beliefs are, they're saying, no, I'm right, you're wrong. And I'm like, but you don't even have faith, because they were pissed because their friend killed themselves. So God doesn't exist because all the suffering happens, which my lovely, good Christian Catholic catechist told me. People turn their back on God. They blame God for the suffering. I said, yeah, no, I got that part. I talked to him about the suffering, like the cloak people and anybody who's using his name and still killing children. You know what I mean? I mean, hey, it's pretty obvious to me who the liars are. So when someone wants to talk to me about spirit, God, anything, if they don't know how to forgive and actually see what human beings are, human, and when they're suffering, they need therapy, they haven't gotten their 1, 2, 3s in line yet, and they're distorting things. And it's very clear. When someone wants to tell me a narcissist isn't healable, that's not nice. Adding, my colleagues are all against me, shows me what you're doing, and that you still have this thing called you didn't learn how to process what you went through. And now that you are all over a screen, the ones who come to you and flock to your cauldron become just as nasty as you do. So those who are nasty, their bad behavior is because they have charges that they're not handling. And those who don't like the ones of us who sit in the middle, it's because they do rigid chaos, equally destabilized, equally blinded by their own egos, equally unnecessarily not recognizing we are all about feels and we are all about beliefs. So yelling isn't going to do anything. You don't control shit. It's all an illusion. And really, we are consistently going to be evolving that which is a species. But when you bring it down, it's like, seriously, you're making this big deal because of technology, AI, science, like computers. Like, you really think we're going to stay in the caves? So you need some story and pointing finger. Yes, we know we fucked up and we're going to fix things. Okay, so that's why it's just very obvious when someone is creating a bigger story based on that which are biases, charges, and then they're all coming together. And so, with that being said, on this lovely day at a time, spiritual bypassers do what they do best. They continue bypassing their actual work. In the meantime, if instead you're not, so if you're getting lazy, you don't want to, you're unmotivated to get back to this question, 27, 31. I mean, wow, I'm like, okay. But I know how people have a hard time, that purpose, that sense of self, okay? So I'm starting with, you do personal growth, you do spiritual growth, you own the self. Not doing any of the, you need a therapy, because they need a therapy, you need that first. Then I know you can work with your temperament, sensitivity, your intensity with your emotional plane, and you know how to differentiate and link. And it's not some pretend, we're doing it now. There's a bunch of us who are. So your sovereign blueprint, your nervous system is yours, your embodied brain is yours, the regulated leader you are, and as the accessible guide will give you that practical, those are the 3 guides on lovely PayHip, check it out. The executive summaries are for free for 2 of them. I don't have the 3rd one on there yet. But with your basic needs met, good sleep, nutrition, healthy body, work-life balance, secure loving relationships, and financial security, I wonder, I said, if you have self-regulation skills, mastery over your emotional states and mental activities, and are living a restorative embodiment life. And then I gave him or her, him, Mal, a book that can give you insights on this is by Alan Fogel, Restorative Embodiment and Resilience. Then I move on to say nervous system sovereignty, integration, and a steady self-image lead to the capacity for you to activate and harness your motivation while maintaining inner fulfillment. I'll use me. So these three twin flames that you keep hearing about, they didn't demotivate me to continue doing what I'm doing. The spiritual bypassers didn't. There's a quote from lovely, what's his name? Hold on a minute. Ron Siegel. I learned from a lot of different therapists, so they're all amazing. The ones who are less amazing are still amazing, and it's only because they don't actually root for everyone, they just root for some, and it's not nice. So you can't heal what you don't acknowledge, and trauma is stuck energy. So this is the part of why when I see the trauma experts, all of the ones who are trying to give people that which are tools, I'm happy. They also say, okay, these are the signs to look for if you're not getting better. And so when I see my age group or younger suffering relationships, life, and the spiritual ones, I just think if you don't know how to get to ease yet, you need to learn how if you want. You don't have to, but it's all going to be you learning from someone else how to autonomously self-regulate. When someone looked at me weird when I said there's no energy vampires, and I said, when you're done with the therapy, then we can talk, because you'll know what I'm talking about when I say that you're not affected by other people's nervous system state. Stronger than our dysfunctional patterns. How can our intentions become stronger? So when people have dysregulation, addiction is a disease of more. Most addictive behaviors are maladaptive responses to unresolved trauma. And when you find how an anthropologist tells you about how love, being in love, as well as getting rejected, affect the same areas of the brain that light up when someone's addicted to drugs, alcohol, cocaine, any of that shit, addicted, and then I'm maladaptive patterns to unresolved trauma, and I'm going to go back to our core and the core wounds and the word shame that people who don't know all about the embodied brain don't understand. Monster in the head is inner critic, outer critic. That's projection. Okay, so what do those who walk a walk and talk a talk? I do like Jesus did, which the 5D collective is honoring. It's called Christ consciousness, oneness consciousness. You don't need no code injected by someone. I see the spiritual bypassers with the same words, and I'm like, wow. And then I remind myself who they're there for. And I just think that's, you're feeding each other fish. You're just validating a belief and actually not noticing you're not growing unconditionally loving, compassionate, and knowing that there's two compassions that religion, spiritual ones, thank you, Dalai Lama. The first is from the mother, so you're born, right? And here's where we all have implicit memory. So it's not that it has to be the mother. It can be the securely attached figure or not securely attached figure. But the womb matters too. So anyways, without getting too much into more in-depth, compassion, you learn it. So if you got the short end of the stick, you're not going to have learned self-compassion. You don't know self-love. You don't know self-acceptance. You don't know how to make a mistake and be like, I made a mistake. I'll fix it, okay? I not feel too like weighed down by it, but of course taking responsibility seriously, but you don't have to feel weighed down to take responsibility. So people who don't know how to be at ease with making a mistake, they don't have emotional maturity or mastery yet. And that means that they haven't looked themselves and said, I'm my grown-up. And that means they're not using as effectively their prefrontal, because that's why it's a journey. EMDR, Chop Arts Work, Somatics, it's a journey, relational integrity. So we all can support each other to mature, because those who are walking the walk and talking the talk like Jesus, forgive, blessed are those who believe without seeing, you do turn the other cheek. And sometimes you will implement those healthy boundaries in the absence, though, of being mean, rude, or unnecessarily whatever to others. No energy vampires, dark auras. It's not I'm going to cut cords, because there's no cuts that you need to cut. If, on the other hand, somatic countertransference still affects you, then you don't know how to differentiate and link. And that means more therapy with Deb Dana, or someone who can say, okay, time to put into practice ventral again. Or there's also restorative. Is it restorative? No, it's a resilience program. So people who want to become more loving, more compassionate, they're not looking at it as I need a golden medal of honor because I'm stronger than all these other people. Those are martyrs and superiors. The ones who instead are, I'm so weakened by all these other people, there's the victims and blamers. So in either occasion, we have a person who's not handling their window of tolerance in a way of rationally speaking, oh, okay, I'm near other nervous systems, so this is the differentiating linking part. And this is why when they want to make it sound like we're doing something special, any of the ones out there, I think we're doing something that is in our human makeup. There is an explanation for why some of us can actually have a bigger window of tolerance than others. And every body is different, every nervous system is different, so I get it, but that's the part of stop invalidating those who can do the ventral pivot and don't have fear of other people's nervous systems because it doesn't rub off. That's not how this works. And for those who instead are still seeking to get stronger, there's plenty of programs again. And for those who instead face, I'm not working, it's not working out, then okay, therapy again. Continue. Wait till you are understanding how resilience works. And so people who are resilient the good way are the ones who are going to continue bringing forth the future because we're not tired of self-regulating and we're not unmotivated because when I wake up in the morning, I'm 46, keep asking God, hey God, am I going to live a long life? I just want to live like 1,000. Can I live? Okay. I'm not letting you know. So here it is, Ron Siegel. When we're talking about acceptance, he says it's very important to talk about the difference between accepting experience as it's arising in our own body and endorsing a certain kind of behavior. And he also talks about how our psychiatric diagnostic system does not carve nature at its joints. Rather, he says, it is we as clinicians looking for some kind of patterns, but each individual is different, and these patterns overlay one another. Always Ron Siegel. And if I can find the other one, because he mentions it's easy to say be kind to yourself, but that's not as straightforward because sometimes it's not going to be about being kind to yourself, or sometimes you're really just looking for a different type of conversation needs to happen. I forget the words, all the words, but there are some of those things that can happen in your life where you understand the gravity. And so to you, it's the gravity of what happened, it's unforgivable. The thing about these amazing mindful therapists is they tell you and show you how if you don't enter a state of compassion with yourself, which doesn't mean you have to be kind, it means neutral, you won't be able to resolve. And then when you're identifying with your mistake, then you become this identity. So again, words that some people get confused with, I'm trying to bring it to with the nervous system and the brain stuff. So it's more of the conversations get easier in your head, the feelings get easier, and it gets easier to also manipulate depth of intensity to bring it to be shared by your voice. I'm not finding what I'm looking for, so we'll leave it alone. But it was a really good quote about how our lovely capacity to talk to ourselves isn't as straightforward always as can be. So once people understand that you choose if you're going to pursue a life of meaning and connection beyond the solo self, that's what true spirituality is. And we have plenty of groups out there who are supporting each other to do just this. So we're simply another group. And when you meet the ones who are in the desert, again, it's not you judging them or regulating to them, it's you learning how to be the bridge. And when prayer is gonna happen, because everybody, whether they believe or not, boldness and fear, we know our own worth, we learn from the past, and we don't get triggered by it. We can still get activated, but as you keep moving forward, that's how winning's done. We don't actually feel on the ground because we've claimed the independence of that which is. Not only for those of us of faith, we have that communion with all that is. I've seen cosmic karmic balancing take place. You watch the words that you speak. The freedom is yours to deeply explore all the depth of intensity, sensitivity, because again, there's a mastery of the flow state from within you. dealing with unknowns, unexpecteds, unwanteds, the number one thing that all human beings will always face. Into the unknown. So for us, it's an endless miracle and more. With the science, I can talk to you about it. With quantum physics and other words that I don't know yet. With spiritual, I can talk to you about my mystic travels, and truth transcends illusions and making your dreams come true. Like a lovely spider web, spirit always has your back. And it's once you, Krishna Lila is what I call our prefrontal. Shiva is nothingness, and it's when you get sad, and Kali, when you get mad, is down here, but you know how to be playful with Krishna Lila. So bilateral, vertical, overall integrated. When life sends us shit, we say, wow, let it shine. Okay, so it's not only let it shine, Holy Spirit, Jesus forgive, God thank you so much, be here in the now, present. I have my present attuning, resonating, trusting. That's part. Dr. Daniel Siegel's acronyms help me to share with you what the integrated brain is. And so his face is a flow of wholeness. With that, you know your personality patterns and your temperament. And when I did the PDP framework test, or whatever it's called, I know of the PDP framework, but the test, I don't know if he calls it the PDP framework test or just personality development pathways test. I don't know what it's called. But the point is, I was like, yep, that's me. So love is all around, and slow and steady will show you the way. It's not always clear, but what you do know is that as you continue to choose to be generous, that you will bring your ideas to life. And because you're open to infinite possibilities, you don't think of it as settled in one specific way. You use your mind wisely, and like this lovely pig, you believe in yourself. And so the soul's journey, everyone has a soul, everyone has a life force. It can't be broken, it can't be shut down, no one can, which is why the spiritual masters, gurus, and expert yogis, and all of those who are truly spiritual understand where magic works through you. And you don't need to reclaim your power when you've become empowered, because that's why we're lucky right now. Everyone can become a person who can handle life and its mystery with their prefrontal cortex by singing your own song and knowing that to dream the world into being is still in your imagination, and that when you do give with gratitude and grace, you will sometimes get stung, and those times will be where you can begin anew without erasing the past. So a day at a time, you're at peace with what has happened. You have a solid foundation, so no tower moment. Dealing with unknowns, uncertainties, unexpecteds don't destabilize you. And here's how you co-create with spirit, and you therefore are enlightening humanity. So I don't spell it out to the spiritual ones on their journey, what their passion, their journey is, because they're already going to know it. What we do, the personal growth for one-to-one mentorship, and when you're using mindset practice of journal prompts, is you're working through whatever's coming up. It's not boring. It's the hanged man, and the rebirth that is assured is because you know how nothing is wasted. And so no matter if you had 3 twin flames, 1 twin flame, no twin flames, you're collaborating with that which is your thoughts and your emotions. And so every year, every day, you clear out a clutter, and that's of that which doesn't hold us back. So I've never personally, in my 46 years of life, felt that I've been given some short end of the stick. Let me share with you all. There's another lovely subreddit post that I have somewhere. Nope, not that one. Okay, so let's see if I have it in my notes. Yes. You're never alone. A hug activates your ventral vagal state. Not everybody wants a hug, but when we do hug each other and we're thinking on our feet, and we know that we're somatic empaths, so we heal each other, we can consistently grow, and no obstacle will ever be in your way, because you tend to those small things by being at home within yourself and with the people that you're around. And you do know that that plan, there's always enough. It isn't a dream, okay? So when we talk about heaven on earth, I'm going to say it isn't because our earth will look in a specific way. When people, our spiritual bypassing community, are giving us visuals and all that, I'm like, okay, some things I know can come, others I know might not. But what I'm trying to say is, when you're grounded in reality and you're a mystic and you're channeling, you'll see the choice points. You can also see, I've had visions of the future. And I leave it alone because I already understand how this works, and how when we come all together, the ones of us who are going to continue creating a sustainable environment, it's because we're not bogged down and overwhelmed by that which is going wrong. And I do it this way because I'm lightening the load and saying, tomato, tomato. That's the whole point of where I'm not God and I'm not spirit or source. I do know that humans are all made different. They're all with the same nervous system, but they all have different stories in their head. Okay, so I can't read everybody's mind, nor do I want to. It's none of my business to read all the minds. What I do know is that the 5D collective and those who are in their emotionally intelligent embodied brain are going to do what they can to make a difference. And that the ones who fear that there are people who are going to try and, that's why their faith in humanity, it's completely broken. So we're not fake positive. We are people who look at all of it, and it's when you're presenting to me a consistent bias with a consistent charge, with a consistent narrative, that I'm like, okay, hey Pinocchio, someone's waiting for you over there. I don't think you're really growing. Now you're just letting me know how things are going to end, and that's not really true because you're not the only human on the planet, 3-year-old. Okay, so we all have a 3-year-old, and then the groupies that get together, that's why I call them Peter Pan, the Lost Boys, and they spend time on that island. Even though we get to share the island with them. But as a 46-year-old woman whose primary passion has always involved living a fulfilling life and supporting others to do the same, I'm active with personal growth, intentional living, emotional maturity, mental mastery, pursuing my soul's calling, and mystic life with spiritual ascension experiences. Without ever having lost myself, mind and heart, in a chaotic world driven by survival mode, dysregulation, and polarizing narratives, I find myself wanting to contribute to the world however I can, with the difference between grounded in wholeness and integration life versus the chaos from survival mode. I love showing how we can bring grounding to spiritual and mystical experiences that otherwise feel overwhelming when the nervous system isn't yet regulated. Since I can remember, this is the AMA Ask Me Anything. It's in the Reddit IHP group. I put it on a spiritual awakening group, and in fact, someone actually, which is why, again, spiritual bypassers, they're hilarious, wrote self-promotion, and I'm like, no, actually, well, first I answered it to see, because I thought maybe they were asking me about self-promotion because another person had asked me what I do, and besides mentorship and the online resources on PayHip and all the content that is here for personal growth and spiritual growth, online marketing. So I thought maybe they were asking how do you self-promote, and so I answered, but then I also said, did you mean maybe the post, because it's a share, it's a cross post from my group to this group based on suggestions. And then they wrote spam, and I said, thank you. I will consider what you said next time Reddit suggests to me to cross-post something that I've posted in my group. And that's in a spiritual awakening group. Okay, so when that happens, what you know, someone's been triggered. Someone has a very big judgmental opinion. If I had been a person who was still immature and insecure, I might have been triggered. I might have been activated. I might have been... We have one where I did an episode on that, okay? So in this case, I actually smiled at myself and thought, once again, spiritual bypassers are bountiful. Once again, random human being is triggerable. Once again, someone doesn't notice that they're having an issue with someone posting in a group. But is it really a big deal? You know what I mean? So the part that sometimes people are still not yet aware, I am sensitive, but I am also aware of it. I'm intense, I'm also aware of it. I'm a grown human being who has deep emotions. I'm aware of it. You can't break the heart, you see? So rejection is not protection. Abandonment is not scary because you can't get abandoned as a grown-up. You're aligned to yourself. Belonging, when someone betrays you, you belong to a group of people who will love you. The part about injustice, we are going to integrate as we have been, and integration will lead to more of our human species to be bountiful, and we will definitely know about how not to do the humiliation thing, because that's exactly what I'm trying to impart, is we don't demonize and dehumanize people that are of our 3D, 4D frequency brothers and sisters. They didn't get somewhere down the line, some shit went down, and so with their dysregulated states, they continue to create their safe homes which distort things. And again, one day, knock knock, can we take the kids off the planet you say you love? Health is wisdom. Health means nervous system sovereignty, integrated brain, whole self. Now you're healthy. Now you own yourself and you're not manipulable. And now that you're curious, you also know how to continue to be curious, not let someone put a finger in your ear, tell you you're no good. And you also don't need the whole life ain't no rainbows and sunshine. It's going to hit you, and it ain't how hard you hit. It's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. Thank you, Sylvester Stallone. It's, oh, wow, look, life's happening. Hey, so I'm an expert yogi. I'm in the Enlightenment Soul Age group. I'm basically a sentient, intelligent, sentient being. All these fancy words. I'm just being Maria. I didn't realize I'd grow up to have all these words. And actually, I'm embodied life like you are. Into, the whole, you think consciousness wants to experience what? Come again? Did you just say suffering? Yeah, no. But then again, I'm in the Enlightenment Soul Age group, so there's a Soul Age group explanation. I've lived more lifetimes. I'm an old soul. No, I'm an Enlightenment Soul Age group soul. You see, but my point of this is not to minimize those. Those give my left an explanation to give to you so that you can harness all this different stuff. And if you're ever overwhelmed by it, please write the questions, pause me, but I'm not overwhelmed by it. This is fun. This is like all of this, like life. There's no dead end to infinite higher human conscious potential. When I think of how the scientists say the cosmos is going to come to an end, like the stars, like the actual physical stars, I'm like, okay, we'll have to see if we really... I come from the future. Did I mention? Yeah, so I know that Sadhguru likes to tell us it's his last lifetime, and he, like the other people of the cosmos, know what time it is before the end. So they've mapped it all out, and I'm like, okay, I mean, you're telling me that it's true. I'm a healthy skeptic. I'm not there yet, so I'm just going to have to maybe take your word for it. In the meantime, I can tell you what I was trying to say is I love to live. When someone says I'm presence, yeah, I'm here. Do you know when I was opened up to more? Amazing. Let me pause you. So here it is. We have had an hour and a half. I don't know how much of this is going to be good or not because sometimes my computer does funny stuff. But once I'm done reading to you, I'm going to tell you some stories if I can remember. So once that happens, check out PayHip if you want practices and journal prompts. Check out the guides if you want. There's free executive summaries, and then there's practice PDF, the ventral pivot thing. Keep checking it because there's going to be a new couple of things going on. Check out Substack, okay? Check out Twitter, YouTube, all that stuff, wherever you want to connect. And as I was saying, so since I can remember, I have been able to discern my emotions and activate state from my mental activity. Once I gained knowledge of integration of the brain and restorative embodiment, I understood what I had been doing and still do my whole life. Doesn't it sound like a kid when I say that? My whole life. So I don't like to do that. I need to learn to articulate, as I really don't. I really don't. My gosh. Did you know the double standard about the corporate environment not sending people letters after they've used their time for review for interviews, and then like some people send them thank you notes or something like that? I'm like, the future will be different because we're all a lot more aware of okay, people need to work because they need money. We are equally having an exchange and gift. It goes both ways. So it's amazing. It's going to look amazing because luckily we're sovereign now of our own embodied brains. And we know the explanation, but also neurobiology, anthropology, like our actual evolution. We're right on track, lovely human beings. We are. I know someone out there is going to think, no, we're not. And I was told 3D, 4D would stick around, and it is true. So, meantime, let's leave alone those who hang out together and think that we are the Smurfs and don't know what we're talking about. People, I also now understand why so many people aren't practicing personal growth and spiritual growth. People looking outward for stability instead of realizing that true resilience and true leadership starts from the inside out. I didn't know about the nervous system. Now that I do, I'm able to explain. When someone is feeling unmotivated, unsteady, if they have autonomous self-regulation, then it will be about mindset and willpower. If it's they don't know yet how to autonomously self-regulate and to pivot to their ventral, then they first need mindful therapy. Once they're integrated and they have now their personality patterns, temperament, and wholeness in the forefront, now they're ready to be flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable, as the acronyms go, and lovely Dr. Daniel Siegel, all his great stuff. And now they can become that which is a person who lives the life and meaning of connection, of true spirituality, might I add. And that is also of our intelligent, sentient human beings who are doing amazing. We don't need external stories to say that we can do amazing things. We also don't need to say we can do amazing things. We can talk about things in all ways that's not boring. Love is not boring because at ease is what our nervous systems are meant to be in. And there's, again, the lovely ease that is something boring for those who are seconding, meaning they continue to navigate hyper arousal states because they don't believe in the sciences. 5 seconds sometimes, Debdana says, 5 seconds in ventral will have someone thinking something's bad's going to happen. So when someone tells me, I find it hard to believe that my pussy is life, I know they don't believe in science, and science is not a belief. I also know they haven't found the right mindful therapist to walk them through, okay, you're in hell right now. We're going to get you out. All the monsters in your head, all this crap, you weren't supposed to live this way. All this shit, I know you'll grieve, you get angry, like, okay, so that's why there's a whole group of people who, I don't like you. I get it. I didn't go through that. I'm on that other end, and we're here to walk with the ones, though, who will, one day get curious and forgiving, and they're ready. They'll want to play with us so we can continue making the future better and not pass down transgenerational trauma. Okay, so the capacity to embody steadiness starts with a steady self and nervous system sovereignty. My path has been a blend of the mystical, the mindful, and the deeply practical. And I'm available to chat about how we can navigate our daily lives with more internal clarity and grounded sovereignty. This is, again, the AMA thing on Reddit, in the IHP group, and on the Spiritual Awakening group. But you can just go to the IHP group, because that way you join the community. To give an idea of what I can explore with the words mystical living and embodied intelligence, since they can mean different things to different people, here are a few areas. Embodied intelligence and somatics. Moving out of the overthinking mind and learning how to interpret the wisdom of the physical body and nervous system for daily emotional regulation. Which is why you would think that someone would be curious, intrigued, or at ease with it, you know what I mean? So I'm still thinking the self-promotion spam thing. It's like someone's going to introduce what they do, what you can ask them about. I mean, so the mystic shift. How living life with a spiritual lens allows you to embody compassion and how your mystical experiences, downloads, channeling, don't have to overwhelm or confuse you in general, and when facing everyday challenges, transitions, and uncertainty. And, by the way, side note, mystic knowing that those who we love, who are spiritual and of faith, some will think of us as demons and evils and reject us completely, but actually think of us as monsters and be afraid. And that's sad. Doesn't make me mad. They believe liars. I don't. They're going to keep saying I'm a liar, and I'm going to be aware of what they're doing. And then one day again, you'll be, hey, can we get you off the planet, or what? You want to stay? So, self-led growth. Building practical micro-habits and self-reflective practices that help you lead yourself through stress rather than just constantly reacting to it. Whether you're looking for a practical tip on handling daily overwhelm, curious about integrating spirituality into a modern lifestyle, or just want to share a reflection on what it means to be an intelligent, sentient being in a modern world, let's explore how we can tap into our higher human consciousness and potential, even though I like to say higher human conscious potential, through emotional and mental intelligence. Ask me anything. And so then obviously I say I'll get back to the comments. Looking forward to connecting. That is something that some of you didn't know. Obviously now you do. And as for this lovely, again, day at a time, when it comes to the bridge that it brings that spiritual dimension. I'm going to allow you to look at it from the lens of, if you're grounded in your prefrontal, it's always going to be something that expands you, because you're not confused when you have, whether it's people in your oversoul, twin flames, You're not confused because it's easy to discern. Like it's easy to discern the effect of realism, those who are seeing me. Those who are not, I'm doing a hand gesture from my upper head to my lower because it's like having a TV in the background, but it's in your head and you're seeing it, but it's not overwhelming you. So you can continue doing other things, like with panic attacks. Okay, so the opportunity to connect with and clear the past as well as create a better future. Your past isn't scary to think of. And when it comes to past lives, I've had like, I don't even know how many of different ones. So the nice thing is that as a community and as we continue to build together, we're probably going to have more episodes since there's another event tomorrow. But meantime, when you think of those who out there don't believe we're here, think we're evil, think we're doing something wrong, just remember that left doesn't like when A and B and C, D touch each other. Right is fine with it because right is cool with the unknown. And the practice of your own metastability, the flexibility, requires you to own the embodied brain, to regulate your nervous system and to not be afraid to be yourself, but also to understand that you are a relational being. And so the mind was shaped by your first relationships. Your brain was supported to either be bilaterally integrated and or not, potentially. And that's the part of why everybody knows their journey. But what I can tell you is when you're an inner curious 3-year-old, your function of child adulthood is being you. And that's what every person can be, thanks to scientists knowing how to get you there. The spiritual ones already know that everybody can always access the seed of enlightenment because, as Sadhguru points out, it's within you. And that's why when someone says enlightenment is a trap, I say no. Validating your charges is, but it's not a trap when then you're validating your subjective beliefs, your in and out group narrative, your charges, and basically you're projecting every single bit of all the distortion, and I'm the buffoon and the moron. Sure I am. Keep staying in the desert and have fun. No. So the stories are that when you are understanding how this prayer and bridge works, you don't think of it being a test of faith, and you don't think of it being as one is good or not. You know as a whole self that the one and love is easy because you're not in a cave and you're not scared of your relationships and you don't want to be alone, and nobody is meant to be alone. So safe haven, secure bases, we walk the streets together, and together we are doing what everybody else will be doing, healing each other. But again, we don't need the healing part as much as we grow ourselves. The healing happens with the good therapist, and then we learn how to bring healthy boundaries in nice conversations, which is what's fun. So love is consistently growing because we have everyone who is on board with how it works now. It's called, I have a 1-year-old too. She's doing great right here, and she thanks you all for joining us. Check out PayHip, check out Substack, and have a wonderful day.